Hi there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dorothy Iso, and I am from Dr. D_PhD, Mastering the Art of Teaching and Learning. If you are new to my channel, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you are the first to know when I post videos on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Recently, I stumbled upon a Facebook page called Western Cape Teachers Forum, which I started following very closely. The page gained prominence during the national lockdown as the global pandemic started spreading more widely and more teachers succumbed to COVID-19. Teachers felt the need to either voice their opinions about school closures, remote teaching and learning, and the state of readiness of their current workplaces. They needed a platform where they could find comfort, support, and solidarity for what they have been experiencing. Among the guests appearing on the live Facebook page and sharing their experiences and wisdom about the current state were teachers and learners, as well as prominent academics and motivational speakers. And so today, I have as my guest Mr. Lee Hoffman, a young man who is passionate about the plight of teachers in the Western Cape. Lee is a family man who, together with his gorgeous wife, has 4 beautiful children. Lee is an avid saxophone player who loves to surround himself with positive and fun-loving people. But I'm going to leave it to the man himself to tell us all about the Western Cape Teachers Forum. Good day, Mr. Lee Hoffman. Welcome to my channel.
Greetings, Dr. D. Thank you for having me.
What an honor. Now, before we start off, I just want to say thank you for the platform that you have created for our teachers in order to give them that voice that I feel they have lost over the past few years. I'm just telling somebody yesterday that teachers went back, and it is now the time for them to stand together, to voice their opinions, and to take agency for their own health and well-being, and really to speak up. So thank you for that platform that you have created for them. Now, Lee Hoffman, let's get into it. Who is the man when he's not on a live Facebook chat? Who is the man Lee Hoffman?
It's a very difficult question. I'll speak about where I come from. I'm from a small town called Tulbagh in the Boland area. I came to Cape Town in 1998, matriculated at Simonson High School, graduated in 2006 at CBUT. Teaching career started at Parker's Primary School in Mitchell's Plain. I was there for about 10 years. Then I moved on to a skills school, a special needs school for 2.5 years. And for the last 3 years, since the beginning of 2018, I've been seconded to a labor organization, a teachers union, where we are dealing primarily with labor issues within the education sector. So yeah, I'm passionate about the voice, advancing the voice of the marginalized. And I think that is why I became involved in the union, because we stand for truth and justice, right? I'm a family man. I'm married for the last 10 years. I've got 4 beautiful children. I play a little saxophone, so music is a great passion of mine. So that is in a nutshell who Lee Hoffman is.
So yes, it's lovely to hear that, we can be balanced in that sense. You've got a very stressful job and very stressful issues that you are working with, yet, you can look after your well-being. Now, I'm going to pose, just to give it a little bit of flavor here, I'm going to show you 3 things. And I hope it's not reversed when I show you. But please tell me, what is the first word that comes to mind when you see this?
Caregiver. Sure, that's a difficult one, but if I had to be prompted for a word, I'll probably say minister.
Okay, you are being so kind. Last one.
Sure, on its back.
Yeah. Sadly
that's 3
so.
words. Those are 3. Yeah.
Sadly so, and thank you for being so honest with us here. Now, Lee, so I'm a teacher. I believe I was born to be a teacher, because for as far back as I can remember, I've always been playing squawky. And so I believe that I was born a teacher, but I also know that the skills were enhanced at the later stage. Now, do you believe that all teachers are born to be teachers, or can anyone just develop into a great teacher and to be competent in the art of teaching and learning?
Dr. D, I think, you know, everybody's born with a unique set of characteristics, right? And that, you know, your set of skills or characteristics rather will bode well with certain professions. For example, as a teacher, you want to be a good orator, you need to be a people's person and the like. And so those are almost non-negotiables. And so, you know, you then pick up skills as you go along. The experiences mold you over the years. So absolutely, you can develop into a great and competent teacher over time, because experiences will teach you. And of course, the knowledge that you will gain over the years and acquire will obviously, if I look at myself as Lee being the teacher in 2007, the first year teacher, compared to where I am now, it's worlds apart. So, and it's basically because of the experiences and the knowledge and that one acquired, and the values that you've picked up over the time. So, to answer the question, are you born a teacher? I think you're born with a unique set of characteristics that will suit the profile of the profession that you are in. I mean, I think, for example, and with all due respect to any hardworking and honest profession, you've got call center operators, you've got bus drivers, you've got attorneys. I don't know whether you're necessarily born for those things, but you've got skills that speaks to the aspects of the profile of the job. But you can most certainly develop into something greater from your day one to where you are. It's all part of the journey. Deel van die grootword proses.
Yeah, and also passion and purpose. And I loved what was said last night in Denzel's show about, you know, in your show with Denzel, about purpose for a purpose. I think that was absolutely, and what we're seeing now is if teachers are not passionate, and if this is not their purpose, it is difficult through this time, you know, to really still be a teacher. So yeah, that I love what you are saying about, you know, being honed and being schooled, and also your skills being enhanced. So tell me quickly about the formation of the Western Cape Teachers Forum. What is it all about? When did it start? How was it birthed within your heart, or was it just brought upon you? How did it start? Tell us about it, please.
Yeah, so the Western Cape Teachers Forum started in 2015 already, and it started under a different name. I'll be very honest, the name was initially Mitchell's Plain Teachers Forum. And I was a primary school teacher at the time. And the purpose for creating the forum or the platform really was to, because I realized that we cannot operate in silos as educators, as schools. We need to network with one another. We need to pool resources. We need to share ideas, because we cannot for one minute think that we've got it made in terms of how we define excellence at our respective schools. So the platform really was to create a space where like-minded education teachers could connect with one another, but then obviously and also to post the odd job opportunity and so on. But as I grew, the page is almost a reflection of my own personal growth, because initially the page was a couple of hundred members strong, you know, and then as my knowledge and my experience grew within the sector, I started feeding the platform with certain things, and it resonated with many people, and so people started joining, and I decided, hang on, I cannot be limited in terms of Mitchell's Plain Teachers Forum. Let me extend it to teachers, Cape Town Teachers Forum. And I said, let's try Western Cape Teachers Forum and be all encompassing. And so today, where we are now, 25 years later, I must be very honest, COVID-19 has really given the page a huge bump up in numbers. Simply because people were hungry for information, people were hungry for guidance, people, my experience tells me that people suffered in isolation, in silos. And so I decided, let me use the platform to voice the concerns of those who you would not have ordinarily I've heard. No, in mainstream media, you hear and see ministers, MECs, you see politicians with great titles, and I mean, with all due respect to them, but where do you see a platform where teachers, post-level 1 teachers, post-level 2, where do they come up and speak about their experiences as practitioners from the ground up? I think that is important for me, and so it speaks to the whole idea of voicing the concerns, not necessarily the marginalized, but of every single teacher. Or not. It breaks any parent's heart to see children without food roaming the streets, wanting to just look for the next meal. And I mean, many teachers, in their own capacity, I partnered with a principal from what is the school here in Rondebosch East. But anyways, the name evades me now. But I partnered with her, and her church actually embarked upon a food collection drive where we, out of our own pockets, we donated food items and we distributed it amongst needy families on some areas of the Cape Flats. And I think many other teachers have done that, not for recognition necessarily, but because they have passion for the plight of the poor. And like you rightfully said, you cannot teach a hungry child. And you know, there was a huge, and this is the challenge, there was a huge focus on school readiness from an institution point of view. In other words, your PPE must be in place, the buildings must be sanitized, the masks. But there was little consideration given to the psychosocial aspect of both teacher and learner.
Correct.
And you know, you cannot give what you do not have. So I believe you must take care of the human first, because hurt people will hurt people. And so that has a domino effect. So you can't have a broken, I mean, the proverbial, you can't have a broken teacher standing in front of a class and teach a broken child. The child has so many other battles that he has to worry about. What about teachers that are teaching, even before COVID-19, in gang-infested areas?
Yep.
So they've got that battle, the physical safety aspect, and then they have this unseen enemy, COVID, that they have to sort of endure. So it's a difficult thing. And I mean, Prof. Jansen spoke the other day about the pedagogical reality. So if you think about this in your classroom, so we've ticked the boxes in terms of PPE and in terms of social distancing and all of those things. But is the teacher in a position to discharge his core function, and that is to teach? Is the learner receptive for learning? You know, that is the pedagogical reality that we are not confronting here. So under these conditions, is learning in essence taking place, right? The other day, the minister spoke about 450 million rand that was spent on PPE. And I mean, one needs to commend the effort that they've made. But you know, that is spent on equipment, on things. Where is the investment in the human capital? And I think that is why we've embarked upon, well, just a strategy that I started embarking upon this Feel Good Fridays thing on the page, where I clear the page on a Friday generally of all the hard and heavy and serious stuff, and allow people to send in their dance videos. And so I've reached out to the entertainment industry, but I'll speak about that later, where we just to lift the spirit slightly. Now, we're not going to solve the problem in society, but it's an attempt, a sincere attempt to speak to this whole idea of the mental, social, personal wellness of our children and our teachers.
Yes, and also, like it's been said, it's become a cliche now that all these problems that we had previously, overcrowded classrooms, we had gang-infested areas where we had to work as teachers. Those issues were just highlighted. And like you are rightfully saying, there needs to be that time also and that opportunity, that platform for teachers to unwind. And thank you also for that. And I saw that the other day and it made me smile. And I think that is what, amidst all of these things, I mean, we are not denialists, but we are human beings. And so it is lovely to see that somebody's really trying, you know, and people are really making an effort. And thanks to you for doing that and for putting so much work into making our teachers smile at least. Because also I saw on your page last night, and it was actually very sad to see how teachers are burdened. Every second comment was a burden, and I really felt for them. And like you said, we are not going to solve the problems in the next few years or days even, but let's do what we can do. Now, this morning, I woke up with the devastating news of a family friend of ours that has succumbed to this awful virus. And it is really heart-wrenching to see how many teachers are dying, to be harsh now, are dying, and how teachers are, they are fearful to go to school because of that issue. Now, amidst the reopening of schools and with the reality that they might contract the virus, how are teachers coping? What do you pick up from teachers at this time?
You know, Dr. D, I'm not sure that I can comfortably say that teachers are coping at all, that are coping. I mean, just the other day, I've asked people to send submissions on topics or issues that they want us to raise with the personal development coach, just to come and motivate us. And the responses were overwhelmingly dark, if I can call it that. They are worried, they're anxious. You know, someone even said, look, what's the point of having somebody speaking to us if it's not going to solve our problem? There's an overwhelming feeling of, unappreciation. People don't feel that they appreciate it. They don't feel that their lives matter. And I mean, many colleagues have applied for concessions to work from home because of underlying medical conditions. So that places additional strain on those who are left at schools to teach. So there's a whole host of issues. I've spoken earlier about the gang-infested areas. So we report weekly, almost on a weekly basis, about educators losing their lives as a result of COVID-19. There's hundreds of learners that are infected. Just yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, where I saw the Eastern Cape MEC asking for a delay in the next phase of grades returning on Monday. More than 6 million learners. So people are anxious as it is now. Can you imagine the additional grades being phased into the school context? This morning there was a principal in Mitchell's Plain that he wrote an essay almost, and I'll post it later, about where he expressed his concern, and in essence, the manager's not coping. Yesterday, I wrote a letter, or I quoted a letter of Mr. Abrams from Jamaica Primary, where he says, "Ek is bang en my collega's ook." So we're confronting our fears, and we're saying we are fearful. We do not know how to manage this. Schools are closing and they're reopening. There's infections and then they sanitize. So it causes more disruption than anything else. And so in this time, apart from sending and flashing policies and guidelines in the noses of our educators and principals, we really need flexible leaders at this time, and we need to consider the effect that this has on our people. We really, like I said before COVID-19, we are comorbid, and it's mostly stress induced. Before COVID-19, we had large, we had administrative load, we had unruly children. I mean, we can speak for days on the challenges within the education sector. And I spoke earlier about the safety act. And so I don't think we're coping at all. We're not coping at all. So again, apart from standard operating procedure, it's a theoretical document, like in the words of the principal earlier, and so it doesn't speak to the practical scenario on the ground in the minds and the eyes of the practitioner. Remember, the policies are largely drafted at head office level, right? Yes, there are consultations and all of that through organized labor, but it's not very often that you have the practitioners' views that are displayed in those documents, and that is, I believe, that's part of the frustration. So to answer your question, I don't believe that people are coping at this stage. I will say this though: you do have schools that manage the problem a little bit better than others. purely because they have the resources to do so.
Yeah.
Right? You must remember there's that inequality as well. Some of us have school halls where others do not have. Some of us have extra space on our school premises where other schools do not have. Some of us have governing bodies that can employ additional staff members to ensure smaller classes, to ensure social distancing where others do not have. So the initial PPE that was delivered to schools, some schools have run out, and they do not have money to buy additional. So there are those issues also that contributes to the space that the leaders, the managers and the teachers find themselves in. So we're not coping.
How then are we going to motivate and keep our teachers motivated?
Yeah. Look, let me say this, and I want to agree with Denzel yesterday. We need to accept the current reality. That's point number one. It's here to stay for the foreseeable future. It's not going away anytime soon. And yes, we've lost loved ones along the way. We've lost colleagues. That's not, we're not able to control that aspect. If you were to ask me, how would I motivate people? Draw on your own strengths and those of others. I, for one, before I approach a guest on the show, I will draw on the strength of my colleagues in the education system and say, guys, what do you think? What kind of question should I pose to this guest? And why do you say so? Because I might be strong in certain aspects, and when I might not be. So some people cope very well under pressure, right? And others do not. So I believe that we must draw on each other for strength and courage during this time. We need to check in with one another, pick up the phone, ask, are we okay? That occasional text, check in with your friends, check in with your colleague, make sure. And then we must confront this thing head on. Speak about your concerns and your fears. We cannot simply sit there and suffer in silence. If you are worried about contracting the virus, speak up. Say, you know what, I'm actually worried. And get the conversation going. It's not going to solve it in its entirety, but it makes food, it allows you to vent, and in that way, other people who may have had the same experience are now able to support you in conversation. And then, of course, educate. If you've been exposed, you must know what to do, who to contact. So arm yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is a strategic resource. We cannot, at this stage of the fight, ask the question, my colleague has tested positive, what do I do? I think that's irresponsible. So you need to arm yourself and be present as to who you allow into your personal space, right? Filter out the noise. Social media, as much as it comes with a whole host of advantages, there are also very toxic information that you need to filter out because you do not want to create unnecessary panic and fear within yourself and others. So I think it's important that you understand and know who you get into your space and what you get into your space. Surround yourself with people who are able to advance you further and not keep you behind. Yes, we're all fearful. Yes, we're worried. Yes, we're concerned. But this thing will pass, and we need to arm ourselves with people who have a victorious mindset. And then I want to say this, laughter is the best medicine. Ek hou van 'n grappie deel, man. Yes, so I love to surround myself with people. Ek hou van 'n grap. I laugh. So we mustn't forget to laugh, man.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very dark times, but lag 'n bietjie, man. Kyk daai simpel goed op die TV of on YouTube, and be intentional about that, Spend time with your loved ones. Do things that I love music. So I said, my wife, I would say she hates it, but she's not so passionate about it.
Yeah, we don't like the noise.
So she has, it's my way of also just letting go of all the muck of the week,
What can you tell me to tell them at a time like this, where they feel their decision to venture into the profession was their choice? But is it still worth, given the fact of how teachers are often sidelined, how they're often caught in the middle and not looked after? I mean, we have employers, not we, I mean, I have a different employer, but teachers have an employer that oftentimes do not look after their interests, look after their safety, look after their health. And their voices are often silenced and drowned by the voices of those constantly playing a game of political ping pong. And I always feel that teachers are always caught between that, and I know in certain cases teachers are not allowed to speak up. So what would you tell teachers today? What would you tell aspiring teachers who are still about to go into the profession? Have you got any good news for them?
Yeah, let me say this. You know, every single profession has its challenges. Yeah, right. So those aspiring students who are wanting to become educators, you must for not 1 second think that it's a walk in the park. Yes, there are some very sobering moments with and it's learning experience, but it comes with its unique set of challenges. Any profession, irrespective of I don't care how smart you think you are, you will experience those bad days, and you're allowed to have a bad day. But what is the one thing that's going to push you through those bad days? And this is the thing, in my opinion, that is going to do that. Passion. Yeah. So the only reason why you venture into any job should be guided by your passion as a starting point. All right? You learn to love certain aspects of the job as you go along. You learn to hate some. I hate marking, for example. Oh, I can't.
Yes, we all do. We all do.
But if you are not guided by passion, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find yourself a very frustrated individual. Trust me. I come from okay. Why? How did I become a teacher? To be honest with you, if somebody were to ask me now, did you always know you wanted to be a teacher? The answer is no. I took a chance. I come from a family of teachers. I knew that when I spoke to groups of people, it felt right. I love the impartation of knowledge, and I have a passion for people. So those are sort of telltale signs that, okay, miskien is this for you? But those are the only thing that push me through on those very, very challenging times. You know, when those learners are really, really working you up, when that marking seems like it cannot get done. I taught Afrikaans 4 classes. Oh, you know, those essays. Is the why am I doing what I'm doing? It's your why that's gonna push you. Yeah. And you know, to drive. About 3 years ago, I was part of. I had the fortunate privilege to be part to a national teach to be a national teaching awards adjudicator at provincial level. So what we would do is we would go around to various schools based on nominations that we've received. So teachers can nominate one another in different categories, like, for example, excellence in primary school teaching, excellence in ICT enhanced teaching, excellence in mathematics, and so on. And even school principals were nominated. And the one thing that was a common thread throughout, we went as far as George and Hoekville and Touwsrandton Primair and Vredendal and the Cityville. But the one thing, irrespective of the category, the one thing that really stood out was the fact that those people, those educators, they did much more than what they were supposed to be doing. In other words, their cups overflowed, man. As hulle gevra word om 8 uur by die skool te wees, dan is hulle weer daar. If they were asked to submit a 2-page submission on something, they submitted a 4-page. Why is that? Because they wanted to do it. Because and that want was driven by passion, I believe. And so it's almost a no-brainer. If you are sitting in a class right now, first year, second year, third year, wondering, yo, is die wat ek wil doen? And ask yourself, am I driven by passion? Or is it just another just another choice? Let me be the first one to say to you, if it's the latter, pack your bags and go. It needs to come from a point of passion, because our learners deserve passionate teachers to impart knowledge to them. I think in the very least, we need to consider the client that we are working with, that is our learner. And so our learners, they deserve passionate teachers. So colleagues, on that note, I think if you're not driven by passion, think again. Teaching is not for the faint-hearted. And yes, we're not going to earn all the money in the world, but that's not what it's about. It's about building the sector from strength to strength through passion.
And that warms my heart, absolutely. I haven't spoken to a teacher this passionate in a very, very long time. Thank you, Lee Hoffman. I'm sure our paths will cross again sometime. Thank you what you are doing, and for the channel once again that you have, or your page that you have created for our teachers. We really appreciate that, and we wish you everything of the best. I'm cheering you on all the way, and like I said, I'm waiting for that nomination of Minister of Education, because we need people, we need young people, we need passionate people, we need people who really love our teachers and who love teaching and learning and who are willing to go the extra mile. And you are one of those people. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Well, allow me in return to say thank you for your kind invitation, to have invited me onto your platform. I sincerely appreciate the gesture, and I wish you nothing but the best as you continue to impact the lives of our teachers significantly and meaningfully. And please come onto our little platform as well, where you can grace us with your expertise and skills, so that we can again grow the sector from strength to strength, pulling resources together. Thank you, Dr. D. Much appreciated.
Great stuff.